Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Learn English Through Current Affairs. I'm your host, Magdalena, and today we're exploring an intriguing question. How do pandemics change the course of history? Pandemics are devastating, yes, but they also have surprising ripple effects that reshape societies, economies, and even our everyday lives. Have you ever thought about how the Black Death might have empowered peasants to demand freedom, or how cholera outbreaks gave birth to modern cities? By the end of this episode, you'll understand how pandemics have not only tested humanity's resilience, but also sparked revolutions in thought, faith, and public health. And along the way, we'll practice some useful English vocabulary and phrases. So, grab a cup of tea, sit back, and let's dive into the past to uncover lessons for our future. Let's start in the 13th century, during one of history's deadliest pandemics, the Black Death. This bubonic plague swept across Europe, killing nearly a quarter of the population. Imagine entire towns wiped out, streets eerily quiet, and survivors left to pick up the pieces of a shattered society. But out of this devastation came something unexpected, a shift in power dynamics. Samuel Cohn, a historian, points out that the uprisings following the Black Death weren't about food or wages alone. No, they were political. Survivors began to challenge the feudal system, a rigid social structure where peasants worked for landowners in exchange for protection. Here's why. With so many people gone, labor became scarce. Workers realized their value and started to demand better conditions and freedoms. This confidence led to the first minimum wage laws and inspired peasants to envision a world beyond feudal restrictions. Interactive question. Think about the last time you faced a challenging situation. Did it lead you to realize something new about yourself or your capabilities? Take a moment to reflect on that, and, if you'd like, share your thoughts in the comments. Now, here's a term for you to remember. Newfound confidence. It means gaining a sense of self-belief after realizing your strength or value. For example, after surviving the Black Death, workers found a newfound confidence to challenge the system. Try using this phrase in your own sentences. Next, let's jump to the Roman Empire, where two devastating pandemics struck: the Antonine Plague, 165 AD, and the Plague of Cyprian, 249 AD. These outbreaks decimated the population and shook the empire to its core. At the time, Christianity was a small, marginalized faith, but the way Christians responded to these crises helped elevate their religion to prominence. Instead of fleeing like many others, Christians stayed to care for the sick, whether they were fellow Christians or pagans. Rodney Stark, a sociologist and historian, explains that this act of compassion wasn't just about survival. It was a form of persuasion. By offering food, water, and comfort, Christians demonstrated their faith in action. This made their religion more appealing, especially to those who felt abandoned by traditional Roman gods. The word persuasion means convincing someone to adopt a belief or take an action. For instance, the Christians' compassion was a powerful form of persuasion during the Roman plagues. Here's something to think about. Why do you think acts of kindness are so powerful during crisis? How might they reshape the way people see each other or their beliefs? Moving forward to the 19th century, we encounter another deadly disease, cholera. This illness often killed its victims within hours, and its spread was linked to contaminated water. The smell of sewage in cities like London was unbearable, but the outbreak forced authorities to act. The solution? Modern sewage systems. London led the way, building underground systems to carry waste out of the city. Other cities around the world soon followed. These innovations not only reduced the spread of disease, but also improved urban living conditions overall. Fun fact, did you know that cholera outbreaks also influenced literature? Charles Dickens, the famous English novelist, often depicted the grim realities of urban life in his stories, drawing attention to public health issues. Now, let's learn a phrase. Turning point. This refers to a critical moment that changes the course of events. For example, the cholera outbreaks of the 19th century were a turning point for urban sanitation. Interactive exercise. Think of a turning point in your own life. How did it shape your decisions or outlook? Finally, let's bring it to the present. We're living through a pandemic right now, COVID-19. Unlike the plagues we've discussed, its long-term effects are still unfolding. But we've already seen major shifts. The rise of remote work and virtual connections. Increased awareness of hygiene practices, like using hand sanitizer and avoiding crowded spaces. And even the normalization of masks in public. Here's an interesting prediction. What if COVID-19 marks the end of the handshake? Could elbow bumps become the new global greeting? Thought-provoking question. How has COVID-19 changed your daily habits or routines? Do you think these changes will last? Let's take a moment to reinforce some key phrases from today's episode. And pandemics often serve as turning points in history. The Black Death gave survivors a newfound confidence to challenge social systems. Compassion during the Roman plagues helped Christianity rise to prominence. Cholera outbreaks were a turning point for urban sanitation systems. The long-term impacts of COVID-19 are still unfolding, but the shift to remote work and hygiene awareness is undeniable. Repeat these phrases slowly after me to practice your pronunciation. As we've seen, pandemics are much more than health crises. They're catalysts for change, forcing societies to adapt, innovate, and grow in unexpected ways. Here's your question of the day. What lessons from past pandemics do you think we can apply to create a better future? Share your thoughts in the comments or discuss them with a friend. And remember, this is a collaborative space. Don't just comment, engage. Reply to someone else's idea, ask a follow-up question, or share a resource that expands on their point. Don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who enjoys learning English through thought-provoking topics. Thank you for joining me, Magdalena, on Learn English Through Current Affairs. Stay curious, stay resilient, and I'll see you next time.